Hey everyone, and welcome. If you're working with Asp.netCore, you already know how to get an app off the ground. But let's be honest, there's a world of difference between code that just works and a truly professional application that's scalable, fast, and secure. Today, we're going to bridge that gap.
So this is the big question, right? It's the one every single one of us asks. You've got your app, it's running, it does the thing it's supposed to do, but you know it could be better. So how do we get there? How do we take it to that next level? Well, that's exactly what we're about to break down. Okay, first things first. We've got to talk about architecture. Think about it like building a house. You wouldn't just start throwing up walls, would you? No way. You need a solid blueprint first. This is where we make the foundational decisions that everything else will depend on. Get this right, and you're set up for success. Now, at the heart of any great blueprint is a philosophy known as clean architecture. The idea here is actually pretty simple, but it is incredibly powerful. You separate your code into layers based on its job. That's it. This separation is what stops your application from turning into a big, tangled mess down the road. It is absolutely key for long-term health. So, what do these layers actually look like? Well, it's broken down into these four distinct parts. At the top, you have the presentation layer. That's your UI or your API, whatever the user interacts with. Then you have the application layer, which is where your business logic lives. Deeper still is the domain layer, holding your core models, the heart of your business. And finally, the infrastructure layer handles all the outside stuff. Databases, third-party services, you name it. The key is that each layer minds its own business. So, to make these layers talk to each other without getting all tangled up, we use something called dependency injection. Now, the old way of doing things with static classes meant everything was kind of welded together, super rigid and a real pain to test. But with DI, we can inject the dependencies our code needs. This makes everything flexible, loosely coupled, and way, way easier to test. And the best part? Asp.netCore has this built right in from the start. All right, with our blueprint sorted, it's time to build the engine. This is all about writing code that makes your application fly. We want it to be fast, responsive, and able to handle a ton of traffic without even breaking a sweat. Okay, this right here is probably one of the biggest performance gains you can make. A blocking call literally freezes a worker thread while it waits for something, like a database query. Imagine a checkout line where the cashier stops serving everyone just to wait for one person to find their credit card. It's a disaster. But with async/await, you tell that thread, hey, while you're waiting, go help someone else. This single change can be the difference between an app that crashes with 10 users and one that handles thousands. We've all seen this, and maybe we've all done it. An API gets a request, and it just sends a fire hose of data back. Thousands and thousands of records in one giant JSON blob. This absolutely hammers your server, and for anyone on a mobile device, it's a nightmare. It's slow, it eats up their data plan, it's just a bad experience all around. And here is the beautiful, elegant solution, pagination. It's so simple. Instead of sending everything at once, you just send back a small, manageable chunk, a single page, along with some info so the client knows how many pages there are in total. When the user needs more, they just ask for the next page. This is absolutely fundamental for building APIs that are fast and user-friendly. Okay, so our app is well-designed and it's fast. Now we have to make it secure. You have to think of this step as building a fortress around your application, protecting it from all the bad stuff out there. This here is your Security 101 checklist. These are the non-negotiables. You've got to enforce HTTPS to encrypt traffic. Then you add HSTS, which tells browsers to never even try to connect without encryption. You should use Asp.netCore Identity because it's a battle-tested system for handling users. Always sanitize user input and parameterize your database queries to stop common attacks like cross-site scripting and SQL injection. And of course, please keep your NuGet packages updated. This is your first and most important line of defense. One of the best ways to protect your app is also one of the easiest. Just look at this little code snippet. These things are called model validation attributes. With just these two little tags, you're telling the entire system, hey, this product name field is required, and it better not be more than 100 characters long. This stops bad data at the door before it ever gets a chance to mess with your business logic. It's simple, but so effective. Building a great application isn't just about getting it launched. It's about making sure it stays stable and maintainable for years to come. This is all about playing the long game and building something that's totally reliable.
A reliable app is a well-tested app, period. And that means you need a full testing strategy. You start with unit tests, using something like XUnit or NUnit to check all the tiny individual pieces of your code. Then, you add integration tests to make sure those pieces all play nicely together, especially at your API endpoints. And to do this right, you use mocking libraries, like mock, to create fake dependencies, so you can test each part in total isolation.
Let's face it, you can't fix what you can't see. And that's where great logging and monitoring come in. By using a powerful logging tool like Seralog, you can create structured logs that are super easy to search. And when you centralize them, it means that when something inevitably goes wrong in production, you have one single place to look for clues. This can cut down your troubleshooting time from hours to minutes. It's a lifesaver. All right, we are in the home stretch. Our app is well architected, it's fast, it's secure, and it's reliable. Now it's time for that final polish, those little optimizations that take an application from merely great to truly exceptional. Let's talk about middleware. You can think of the middleware pipeline as an assembly line for every single request that hits your application. And just like on an assembly line, the order of operations is absolutely critical. You want your exception handler to be first, so it can catch any errors that happen later. You need authentication to happen early, before a request gets too far. If you get this order wrong, you could easily create security holes or just flat out break your application. And finally, let's talk about one of the biggest performance boosters you have, caching. But it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. You have to be strategic. Response caching is amazing for API results that don't change often. In-memory caching is blazing fast for data you need all the time on a single server. But when you scale out to multiple servers, you need a distributed cache like Redis to make sure all of them are sharing the same cache data.
So, there you have it. We've gone all the way from the architectural blueprint to applying that final polish. We've covered the core ideas that really separate the good code from the great, professional applications. You now have the framework, the blueprint for building amazing things. So the only real question left is, what are you going to build with it? Thanks for joining me.